Hey guys, coming at you today with a super simple keto dessert recipe. You can literally use anything you have lying around if you don't like the texture of it, or if you made a recipe and it didn't come out right, you can make it into a super simple keto bread pudding. So let's get started. Welcome back. If you're new here, thanks for joining me. My name's Alicia and I'm a sous chef with a sweet tooth. And here we make delicious pastries, many from my time as a pastry chef. And my goal is to make them the best keto pastries possible. If you enjoy this content, please hit the subscribe button down there. I'm coming at you every Saturday with a new keto dessert. Now this recipe came straight out of one of my books from an old pastry job I had on a cruise ship. I would use anything they had left over. Ends of baguettes, stale pastries, anything we had lying around, I would make a big batch of bread pudding. And literally the recipe was a gallon of milk or cream, a couple pounds of eggs, pounds of sugar. So I made it simple and easy. We're gonna do an 8x8 pan today. And I had biscuits and bread that I had in the freezer that were tested batches that didn't come out perfect, and I wanted to make some bread pudding out of them. So super simple. I have an 8x8 pan that I already buttered. So I'm gonna pour 5 to 6 cups of diced bread, keto bread or pastries into the pan. And then we're just gonna heat some heavy cream, and I used some cashew milk to cut down on the carbs a little bit. A cup of heavy cream has 6 grams of net carbs in it. A lot of recipes call for just whole milk, so doing the heavy cream is better than whole milk. And then cutting it with some unsweetened nut milk is a great option. I also have 2 tablespoons of butter in there melting. And then I opted for granular Golden Monkfruit Sweetener. And it's because it has more of a caramely flavor. We're kind of making a caramel cinnamon bread pudding today. But you can literally do any flavor bread pudding you want. It's super customizable. You can add a little bit of cocoa powder or chocolate chips. We're just gonna let this melt. We're not gonna boil it or simmer it or anything. We're just getting the butter melted, getting the sugar dissolved in there. I have 3 eggs, and because we're doing caramel cinnamon, I got vanilla and some caramel stevia extract. Now you can use any flavor you want for the extracts. Maple would be delicious in here, or you can just do vanilla stevia or just plain stevia. Because our bread isn't as sweet as most other breads, you need to add quite a bit of sweetener to it to make it not just taste like stale bread, basically. So I'm adding that into my eggs and 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. You can also do any spices you want. I'm a little worried about using this burner today. I have not tested it with a burner. I have done it on my stove, and this thing does not get very low. I put it as low as possible because you don't really want this to boil at all. You're just trying to melt everything together. You just give all these a whisk. Try not to inhale the cinnamon too much. Now, of course, because I'm a little bit extra, we are going to make a delicious Creme Anglaise to go over this bread pudding. It's a very traditional sauce that is served with warm bread pudding. We do that at the restaurant I work at all the time. And it's actually really simple to make. Again, I'm worried about it being on this burner though, because you need it at low heat to make the kind of custard sauce. But hey, if it messes up, it messes up, I guess. Definitely much easier on your home stove. Okay, once all of the butter is melted, you just take it off the heat. And as you whisk your eggs, you just pour in a tiny bit of cream at a time. You just don't want to scramble your eggs. Cinnamon caramel. Oh, it smells so good. Once you get about half of it in there, you can add it more quickly. Just pour the rest in there. And there's your custard. That's all you got to do, and you're going to bake it. Now the sweetness level on this is also up to you. What I used to do in the pastry on the cruise ship, I didn't even really measure that much. It was more like just dump, 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 and then you try it. And if it's sweet enough, which you want it pretty sweet because, like I said, the bread's not sweet, you're good to go. And the only real hard part about this is letting your bread soak for 10 minutes because our keto bread and biscuits tend to be more dense than like a regular white bread or something like that. And it takes a while for the bread to soak up the mixture. The first time I tested this, I didn't let it sit, and literally I had just egg custard with bread on top. So you definitely gotta let this sit and soak for about 10 minutes. I'm gonna strain this mixture right over our bread just to catch any egg lumps that we might have in there, or cinnamon lumps. Make sure you get it all out of there. There you go. And you just wanna press it down into the egg mixture. And you're gonna wanna do that several times. I haven't preheated my oven yet because that kind of gives you a gauge at how long you want your bread to soak for. As long as it takes your oven to preheat, you're just going to keep pressing it down every couple of minutes to get it back soaked into the mixture. So I'm going to preheat my oven to 350 degrees. And this is going to bake for 40 to 50 minutes. You want it set up in the middle, and you can insert a knife into it and it'll come out clean. Now we're going to get on to our creme anglaise, because that has to cool in the refrigerator for a while. The bread pudding is best served at room temperature or warm. So if we get the creme anglaise in the refrigerator, we can maybe have it sooner. Okay, while I was gathering everything for the creme anglaise, my bread was soaking. I just threw it in the oven, set it for 20 minutes, because I'm going to turn it halfway through to make sure it bakes evenly. Now, creme anglaise is just a fancy name for a vanilla sauce, basically. It'd be great if you had a whole vanilla bean to throw in your heavy cream, but it's expensive and I don't have any, so we're gonna be doing some vanilla extract in here. But it's super easy. It's a cup of heavy cream, 3 egg yolks, and then you have sugar that you're gonna divide between both of these. So today I'm gonna be using allulose, but I did this with monk fruit the first time and it turned out fine. When you scooped it, it was a little bit like grainy sounding, but it didn't taste grainy at all. So I'm gonna do it with allulose today just because I haven't done that and I kind of want to see the sweetness level, if it's kind of the same as monk fruit. I have a feeling it's not going to be as sweet. Allulose to me, I feel like has been like the best with heating and like cooking on the stove. So I want to see if that's true. So I just put 3 tablespoons of allulose in my cream and 3 into my egg yolks. Then we're just gonna put this on low heat. We're gonna just get the allulose dissolved, and this part you want it to come to like almost a simmer, because the higher you get the heat here, the less time it's gonna take you stirring to get it to a thick custard. While that's heating, I'm gonna give my egg yolks and sugar a really good whisk. I want it nice and pale and fluffy. Okay, our cream is almost to a simmer already, so we're going to temper our eggs. I'm going to turn this way down, try to get as low as possible for when we return it to the heat. And it's not going to go any lower than that. I already have a bowl and a strainer ready for when this is thickened up so that I can pour it right into something to cool it down so it doesn't continue to cook. Okay, that is just simmering around the edges. So we're going to temper our egg yolks. Tiny splash at a time. Once you have about half in there, add the rest and whisk it up. I like to scrape down my edges. Make sure it's all in there, okay? And once you're all nice and combined, you're gonna pour this back in. You're just gonna return it to the heat, super low, and you're gonna stir continuously until it becomes a thick sauce. The first time I made this, I used a thermometer and it came up to 185 and it was the perfect consistency. No, 175. 165 is how high you have to take it to actually cook all the raw out of the egg yolks. I feel like a thermometer is a good way of judging because you don't want to take it too far because you can get scrambled eggs. Don't want that. This is going real quick already because, like I said, this heat can't go very low. Also, the burner's uneven, so sorry about the clicking. It's already getting pretty thick. Already up to 168. Okay, we're at 170. So, I'll show you stirring it even off the heat. But if it keeps a line in a spoon, you should be good to go. You pour it through your strainer. This should get most of the bubbles out. There is your sauce. And then you just add, if you're not using a vanilla bean like me, just add a little bit of vanilla extract. There is your creme anglaise. Gonna be delicious on your warm bread pudding. Then to refrigerate this, you have to put plastic wrap right down on top of the mixture, otherwise you'll get a skin formed on top. You want it right down on it. There you go. And refrigerate until it's completely cooled. We'll be back to try it all once it's out of the oven and the creme anglaise is completely cooled. Our delicious bread pudding is out of the oven. It looks so yummy, all bubbly and brown sugar and caramel smelling, cinnamon. So I go like this, and if it comes out clean with no custard on it, you are set to go. So I'm just going to set this aside and let it cool down to about room temperature, and hopefully our creme anglaise will be ready soon. We can serve some of this up. We're back with some still slightly warm bread pudding and a delicious creme anglaise. Vanilla sauce is going to go delicious with our bread pudding. Silky and smooth. It's going to be delicious. Now, this bread pudding, if you use my bread as the bread for the bread pudding, it's only 1.8 grams of net carbs for a ninth of this. You're going to cut it into thirds. You get 9 slices. It's 1.8 grams of net carbs. But whatever bread you use for this is what your net carbs are going to be. I have no idea what this is going to be because I just took stuff out of my freezer. So I'm just going to round it to like 3 grams just to be safe. But the egg, cream, milk mixture is about 9 grams of net carbs. So whatever you add to that is what your net carbs are going to be for this. Slice it into 9 slices. This is also delicious with some keto ice cream on top. Get a nice looking piece here. Shouldn't stick too much because of the butter. First piece is usually the worst to get out though. Oh, look at that. Custardy bread pudding. It looks good. Like I said, you can put literally anything in this. Now, normally in a pastry shop, we would put this into a squeeze bottle and do like a really pretty decoration on top. I'm just gonna drizzle. Looks so good. Oh, never grabbed myself a fork, of course. Time to try this bad boy. Still warm. That is so good. Cinnamon, caramel comes through. That vanilla sauce, delicious. That's the way to do it. I hope you find this bread pudding recipe helpful. I know I have, using up all my leftover test batches of baked goods that I have lying around. It's an easy, fast keto dessert, and it's not super high carbs. If you use, like, say you got a loaf of 0 carb bread and you didn't like the texture of it, throw some custard over it and bake it in the oven with some sugar, and it's good to go. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you do, please hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. Share with your friends who may be starting the keto diet and think they have limited options. There are tons, and it's easy to stick to if you get these videos and these recipes down. And as always, I'll be back with many more keto dessert recipes. Bye, guys.